Okay, we're here in Belgium. We've got a new bike. We're going to do a bike check on it, and I've also got some tubes, which will become more apparent as to why I have these bent tubes in a second. But yeah, this is my new Zero G3. It's my new downhill bike. It's super dusty at the minute because we've been riding it at Loose Fest here in Belgium. Huge, big jumps. And I've chosen my G3 to do it on. So we're going to do a bit of a bike check because I've got a bunch of new parts in it. They've got a bunch of changes to this bike, which I didn't have on the previous bike. All right, we'll start with the frame. So I am on the G3 frame. I'm currently running a medium-sized frame, which is a bit strange for some people because I'm just over 6 foot. So on zeroed sight, I should be on a large, but I like the smaller frame with the reach adjust headset in here. So it's a slight bit longer, but I just like that smaller bike. Suspension wise, I have gone back to trusty RockShox Boxer Ultimate on the front and a Vivid Ultimate on the back. I've just always loved RockShox suspension. Haven't used it for a few years. Feel it's like really easy to set up without any tuning or custom valving. You can get it like pretty much in the ballpark of where you want your bike to be, how you want it to feel depending on what you're riding. We've got a 575 spring on the back, which is kind of heavy for most people, but when you're doing jumps the size that we're doing at this event, you kind of need stiff suspension just to absorb those big hits. Wheels, I've stuck with my current setup, which was the Santa Cruz Reserve wheel set on Chris King hubs, bomb-proof hubs. Before I forget, actually, we're gonna go back to those tubes. Can you see these bent tubes? Does the video show it? Bent tubes. These are my old fork stanchions. We had a bit of an incident. Oh, fuck. That was a big case. Basically came up short on a massive jump, 50-50'd it, couldn't have gone any worse. Rode straight out of it, smashed my camera on my stem. Everything was fine on the bike, other than the forks, which completely bent. Frame in one piece, we checked all the welds multiple times from multiple people. This thing is bomb-proof, that's all I'm gonna say. The bike was completely embedded in the landing, and this bike just rode out of it. I actually snapped a spoke on the back as well, which happens. Bike's in one piece. Hi. As you'll know, if you've never seen one of these bikes as well, we have the Pinion gearbox on here with a belt drive. There's no chain, no derailleur, no cassette, nothing. We just run on this cool belt. So you don't have to oil it or anything. All the gears are done inside this gearbox in here. So all the weight is central at the lowest point on the bike, which is where you want it for a downhill bike for traction, stability and control. We've got, I think, 165mm cranks on here in terms of length. I kind of like that. Title pedals as well, along with the Title handlebar and stem for the cockpit. What else do we need to talk about? Brakes. Got some new brakes going here. As some of you eagle eyes might notice, we have some new brakes on here from a brand that I've never used before, but they reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to try our brakes? So I said, why not? This is a brand called Sir, I think that's how you pronounce it, from China. I was skeptical to begin with. I would just approach this with completely open eyes and open mind and said, yeah, sure, I'll test them and see what they're like. Very open to see what different brands have nowadays. I've been using these now for the last maybe 2 weeks, and I have to say I'm fairly blown away with them. Like, the power in these things is like quite insane, along with the lever feel, which I really, really do like. And I mean, look at the purple. Like, purple is pretty dope. Grips, massive fan of these ODI long neck grips. If you've seen any of my bike checks before, these are like my go-to grip, like old school BMX grips. Use them a lot without gloves and with gloves. So changes to the bike this year. They had a little mud guard on here, which covers the shock. So if you're riding in like muddy conditions, there's a little cover here to protect the shock from any dirt and stuff. I removed that because I just didn't think it was needed with where I was riding. Also, from testing with teams on the World Cup circuit, the downhill circuit, they actually incorporated a cover that goes over this belt here. Again, just to keep the belt solid, secure, and just free of debris and mud. I chose to take it off for now because I just didn't think it was necessary. For anyone riding in thick, muddy conditions, that's probably your go-to. We also have underneath again, I took this off before I managed to slam this bike into the back of a landing, but there is also a bash guard that goes around the Pinion gearbox. This is something that they didn't have on the previous gen bikes. They just had the gearbox and it was obviously open to taking strikes. So they made a custom shield, which just bolts into the bottom of the frame just to keep it nice and sturdy and just away from all the crap that your bike could hit. The bike is on the heavier side of things. Pretty obvious, right? It's got a gearbox. I've built this bike to be literally bomb-proof. I'd rather have a bike that I can ride and I'm confident in the components rather than have something that is super lightweight and has components that I just don't trust. It's just not, for me, like confidence inspiring at all. As I've said before, once you get on these belt drive bikes, I don't know why you would ever want to go back to a chain or a derailleur. Like, I just don't know why. Everything is inside this box. Minimal maintenance, change the oil inside the gearbox once a year, 5-minute job. Electric shifting as well, so there's no cables in this. I have this cool shifter here from a brand in Switzerland, which I'll put on the screen so you can see it. Again, it's just super sleek and neat, out the way at the handlebar. If I manage to crash, this thing isn't gonna snap off or anything. And then you can just charge this Pinion gearbox and the battery that charges this gearbox through a little port on the side of the bike. For any of you guys who have been wanting to try one of these bikes, you're on the fence, maybe I can entice you a little bit more with a discount code I'll put on the screen. If you use AlexRides10 to grab a zeroed, any zeroed off their site, you'll get 10% off your bike. That applies to anyone in Europe and mainland Europe, and also the UK as well. Sick bike. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, and I'll answer any questions that you have.